Should you always answer your child's question uh, with an answer? Well, that's a rhetorical question. I don't think so. I think there's actually good reason not to answer your child's questions. And as a parent or someone who works with children, you'll know, especially in around 3, 4, 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, how kids start to say why about everything. And you've done it, I've done it, we've all done it. We answer, we say because, or we reach, really far to kind of come up with something we don't really know the answer to. And then at some point we might get tired of the constant barrage of questions and irritated and kind of at a loss at how to handle it. Well, consider this. Consider that a child who asks a question is not looking for an answer, that they might be expressing fascination, wonder, awe, amazement, um, stupefaction, and that instead of taking on the role of a teacher or taking on the role of someone knowledgeable or more knowledgeable than them who can instruct them in the ways of the world, we might take on the role of an educator or a guide. Of course, educator, educare comes from pulling out something of someone, walking alongside them rather than standing face to face with them. So that's a change in geography, that a little child looking up to an adult with a question, if we can shift that stance and stand next to them instead and look out at the world together with them, holding the same question and the same amazement and wonder and stupefaction and mystification. Now, I'm speaking English and Swedish is my native tongue. And in Germanic languages, a question is called en fråga. And the old root of the word fråga, or fragen in German, is the same as prayer. So there's something, a relationship between question and prayer, which is fascinating. We've obviously lost that somewhere along the way. We've learned, most of us, that a question requires an answer. But what happens to the child when we give them the answer? Well, they either lose interest, they go, okay, or walk away, or they have more questions because they're not really looking for an answer, or they're not looking for the answer that we give. And so they ask again, why? And we give another answer, or we repeat our answer. But to see it as a prayer, to see it as their way of discovering the world and being amazed at what they see and befuddled. Now, of course, as you know, if you watch my other videos, in school, we learn that the teacher has an answer, and if we know the answer, we pass the test. In the best of cases, there is curiosity in the child, and the teacher is amazing at stoking that curiosity. But most often, in my experience, and perhaps yours as well, school is about information. But a child at that age is looking for relation. They are wondering about all these relationships in the world as their perceptive capacities increase and stretch out, and they notice new things or old things in a different way, or contexts they haven't understood before, or relationships between things they haven't seen before. Now, if we give them information in response to their prayer or wonderment, we're going to slay the question, and we're going to slay the wonder, and we're going to turn them into someone who notices that when I ask a question, I get information and I'm no longer curious. and it's going to do something to their curiosity. So what to do instead? Well, I've said stand alongside of them instead of facing them, looking out at the world instead of looking back at them. That's one thing. And then we can also help them deepen their question. I've made some videos around 3 different kinds of questions we can ask our children that would help them stay with a question, stay with a wonderment, and do the work of reaching out in their own unique way to grapple with these relationships, what they mean, to deepen their capacity for observation, to strengthen their capacity for being uncertain, being in the unknown, rather than immediately getting satisfaction or immediately getting a response. And who knows, our response, our answer might be wrong. Our answer might be a very, very thin sliver of the relationships they're inquiring about. And in the end, they might stop asking these questions. And we might either be relieved or see it as a natural part of growing up. And for those of us who've had our children at 6 or 7 years old start school, we know what happens to the child at that age and their curiosity and their engagement with life. It often shifts in different ways, but often that curiosity begins to dwindle as they feel the pressure of getting the right answer. So stand alongside them, ask a better question, or try to feel what they're wondering about and wonder about it alongside them. Tell them a story, an anecdote, something that you've noticed about the thing they're wondering about, that where you share your own amazement at it. Now, that said, there is a time for information. There is a point in time when the child truly wants information. So we're not withholding what we know from them, but we're paying attention to not immediately give them the gratification of an answer that might be wrong and that might not be what they're asking for and that might not deepen their relationship. But at some point, when we see that they've been wondering, they've been struggling, they've been observing it, maybe we've asked them to think about it. Maybe we've asked them to observe something. Maybe we've given them some tools that will help them deepen this line of inquiry. There's a well-known naturalist in the US called Tom Brown, and he said, let's put the quest back in the question and the search back in the research. Have them work for it. Have them really muscle through this wonderment and see if with a better question, you can create a vacuum that draws them in. But at some point, maybe they've applied themselves enough, and now they're reaching a point of destructive frustration. And then a little bit of information, when we see that they've applied themselves, will land in them as a key to the relationships that they're wondering about. And it'll make something gel for them. They'll see the bigger picture in a way they wouldn't have had without that piece of information. There's so much to say about this. And I have a few other videos about questions in relationship to awe and wonder. You can find them on my playlist. And if you like this video, I really would appreciate it if you press like or subscribe and hit the bell button, and you'll get notifications of other videos. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.